Hi guys, and welcome back to part 5 of Monty's Ironsides. Now if you saw the last video, you may remember that I showed you how to paint your British bolt action infantry, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to base them in a Northern Europe theme. So let's kick things off by taking a look at the materials we'll need for this tutorial. So here we have the items I'll be using in this tutorial. So first of all, you'll need to get yourself some PVA glue. I've got some army paint up here. You need some several grades of sand. So I've got some quite coarse sand here, some quite fine sand just at the back there as well. I've also got some paints from the Army Painter range, soft tone ink, Monster Brown and also Skeleton Bone. I've got some super glue, some paintbrushes, some woodland tufts from Army Painter, and also some of this swamp flock here. You can just put this static grass I've got in this box here. So I'll be using all of these items to base this little British soldier that we assembled a few videos ago. So the first task is to apply some sand to the base. Now I'll be applying this after the miniature has been assembled. As you can see here, the miniature is still grey, so when I prime it, it'll also prime the base as well. Now what you'll need to do is you need to bring in your PVA glue for this, and you want to apply some small amounts just onto the base, some blobs like so. And then bringing in one of your brushes, you'll just want to spread out the PVA glue like so. So once you've spread out the PVA glue onto the base of the miniature, you have to work quite quickly here as you don't want the glue drying too quickly. And the first step is to apply some of the coarse rocks. And we'll be applying take a small pinch and just sprinkle a few of them onto the base into maybe the front of the section, and then maybe a couple around the back, as we don't want these rocks to be too dominating on the base. Just going to be applying a few small ones. Then we'll move on to the finer sand, like here, and we'll be just doing the same, sprinkling it across the base. As opposed to dipping, I prefer to sprinkle because it kind of gives you quite a nice variation in the grades of sand, as opposed to just dipping in where you get a very single grade across the entirety of the base. So once it's done, what you need to do is you need to leave this to dry thoroughly, and then you can prime the entirety of the miniature, as I did do in the previous tutorial. So here we have our bolt action infantryman that we painted as part of the last tutorial, and as you can see, the base has already been sanded and primed when I primed the rest of the miniature, and gives us a really nice kind of brown starting point. Now if you aren't painting British bolt action infantry and you're using a different primer, I would recommend first painting the base with leather brown to get this nice even cover. Now this next step is to dry brush over the top with Monster Brown. Now if you haven't dry brushed before, it's basically you'll get a small amount of paint onto your brush, and then just using a piece of excess paper, remove most of the paint from the brush, and then you can just lightly drag the brush across the surface and just picks out all of the raised details, as you can see I'm doing here. So once you've completed dry brushing with the Monster Brown, the next step is to apply a second but lighter dry brush of Skeleton Bone over the top. So I'm just going to be doing it here, just getting some paint on my brush first, and just lightly dragging this across, just very carefully picking out some of the larger rocks, just very gently going across the top of the surface. Now that both dry brushes have been completed, the next step is to apply a quick wash of soft tone ink across the base, and this time I'm going to be applying some of the ink directly to the base, so just a small amount just at the front like so, and then just another small dot at the back. Let's bring in my brush here just to spread it out a little bit, and this will just add some improved shading into the recesses of the base. So now that we've finished the painting of the base, we've got this nice kind of dried mud effect, as you can see here we've got on the base there. The next step is to apply some grass. Now first of all, I'm going to be using some of these grass tufts that I've got here from the Army Painter. So what you want to do is you want to take some tweezers and just first of all apply a small amount of super glue to the base where you want to apply the tuft. Then using your tweezers, grasp the tuft like so and just place it onto the super glue and just hold it in place for a few seconds just to allow the glue to dry. Then once it's dried, you can then bring the tuft back up like so. The grass tufts are perfect if you want to achieve a kind of tuft, like a small bush effect. However, if you just want to apply a kind of a normal sparse grass effect, I would recommend using some static grass. Now this is swamp grass that I'm using here. It's got slight brown and also green in it. I quite like this because it's almost like it's muddy grass, not quite as bright as the woodland tuft that we've already used. So to apply this, you simply take your base, bring in some more PVA glue. I'm just going to be applying a small amount onto the base like that. Just bring in my paintbrush just to spread this out a little bit, just to the areas that we want. Now I'd recommend when you're applying the PVA glue just to spread it out, leave a few gaps, as grass is very rarely in perfect condition. It usually forms in clumps. And then once you've applied the PVA glue, if you just bring in your static grass of your own choice, just want to apply, just press it into the PVA glue like so, and tap off the excess. You can see we've got this kind of more softer grass, and once this PVA glue dries, this will all start to stick up, similar to the way that the tuft at the front is as well. And here we have the completed base. Now whilst I've only used a British infantryman for this tutorial, you could apply it to any bolt action infantry that you want to apply a temperate theme to. Additionally, whilst I only concentrated on the 25mm bases, you could scale this up quite easily to cover MG teams, mortar teams, or even full artillery pieces. However, no matter what you base, my one key tip would be to apply variation. Never apply your grass or sand in the same way, and this will give you some really nice variation across your units. So that concludes another episode of Monty's Ironsides. Now if you've enjoyed this series so far, do let me know in the comments below, and also subscribe to be kept up to date with all of my future videos. So until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.